Happy Friday, Lewis.
Happy Friday, Dan. And I'm glad you told me it was Friday because I have no idea what day it is.
Well, there's a store in Bondi that has the number of days Sydney-siders have been in lockdown plastered upon it. They take their menus and they make a giant group of numbers. So currently there's 41 days. We've been in lockdown 41 days, Lewis, and boy, it just still feels like day 5 to me.
Yeah, well, I've been on a little holiday for the last week. Pretty cool holiday, obviously. Just staying at home and going insane. And I was trying to think about like what I could do to pass the time while I was here. And so I was taking inspiration from the movie Groundhog Day because that's what we're living in. And I was like, what does he do in Groundhog Day to improve his situation? And in the original version, he killed himself, which is not what I'm going to do. I decided to do the thing where he learns to play piano. Remember how he learns to...
So what did you learn? What did you learn?
5 days ago, 5 days ago, I bought a piano and I'm learning to play a song on it. And I've never played piano before. I'm terrible at it, and that's how I'm passing my time.
All right, so you're 5 days into learning?
4, yeah.
4 days into learning? Okay. What's the song you're learning to play?
Well, I'm learning to play Billy Joel's Vienna, which, if you know the song, is really difficult. It's so, it's not a beginner's piece. It's a stupid and it's a foolish thing that I'm doing, but I won't rest until I learn that song.
So next week at the end of the show, you are going to play Billy Joel's Vienna.
Well, I'll play you some version of it. But, I literally, you need to know. They're like, play G major. I'm like, I'm just making noises. Yeah.
I'm recording my end of Irrational Fear on Gadigal land in the Eora Nation. Sovereignty was never ceded. We need a treaty. Let's start the show. Tonight, Hillsong pastor Brian Houston has been charged with allegedly concealing sexual assault abuse, which clears his way to becoming the Attorney General by the year's end. And Hungry Jack's founder says Australia should learn to live with the virus, just like they've learned to live with the Whopper. And the whole state of Victoria is gone into its 6th lockdown due to an outbreak of smugness. It's the 6th of August, 2021, and with more breaches than an airport holiday inn, this is Irrational Fear. Hello, welcome to Rational Fear. I'm your host, former Olympic skateboarder Dan Ilic. Let's meet our Fearmongers for tonight. She's casually been a guest on everybody's satirical comedy shows over the last little bit. Won't be long before she has her own. Buy shares in Viya Rajan because she's going to the moon. Woo!
Hi, everyone. Happy lockdown.
Happy lockdown, Viya. How is Victoria lockdown? How's Victoria's number 6 lockdown for you?
Well, we're about 6 minutes in. And the smugness is probably dissipating.
And he got his start performing at Irrational Fear. Now he has his own la-di-da Amazon Prime show from the Moth Effect. It's Jazz Twemlow.
Hello. My boss actually is going to the moon, leaving us all behind. That's very kind of him.
And it's a man who doesn't have a Netflix deal just yet, Lewis Hobba.
No, short but sweet and accurate, that introduction. Yeah, no, 100% accurate.
Coming up a little later on the show, we'll get on the booze with Barnaby Joyce, but here is a message from this week's sponsor.
Tuesday the 10th of August is Senseless Night. Each household is required by law to fill out the online form so the Australian Bureau of Statistics can collect data on the makeup of Australia and to see if the NBN is working in your area. It then gives that data to the federal government so they can build critical services like car parks, sporting facilities and hospitals in coalition seats, regardless of what the data says. The Senseless, providing scientific data to the Australian government so they can willfully ignore it. Authorised by a bunch of blithering idiots in Canberra.
All right, this week's first fear. Sky News has been banned from posting on YouTube for a week after posting COVID denial videos. According to YouTube's 3 strikes in or out policy, Sky News was peddling at least 3 videos of misinformation about COVID. My question is, only 3? Are you sure? Are we sure? Anyway, Fearmongers, a week without Sky News. How will our uncles cope? Lewis, how do you feel about this?
Well, I because I said I've been on a little break from work over the last week. So I've basically read no news over the last week. So I'm so excited to find out from this podcast what's been happening. Fingers crossed for some good stuff. This feels like good stuff, if I'm totally honest.
There's even less news for you to not read now, so you're going to save even more time not doing stuff. It's great.
Yeah, that's right. There's at least one brand of news that is banned from YouTube. Vidya, how do you feel about Sky News taking a break from YouTube?
Well, I think this is just gonna galvanize the uncles to start their own channels if they aren't already. From my experience of uncles, they're about like one bad night away from becoming YouTube radicals. So
it was crazy. I did sort of have a look at some of the stats about the viewership that they do have online. Like, because everyone always says like, Sky News, who cares? No one watches it. Like the Sky News After Dark's a joke. 50,000 people or something. Like worse than breakfast television numbers. Like really, like almost as bad as this podcast. Like almost insignificant. But they do quite well online. So it is pretty massive for them. I'm sure they are. I wonder what they'll like, whether this will change anything in the future for them.
Well, will they start like an outsiders channel? Not on YouTube. It's like, how more outside can you pretend to be?
I like to imagine that Sky News will eventually just be a town crier.
Just what every good uncle should be doing for a job. You're absolutely right, Lewis. Their numbers are tiny on TV and they do get millions of hits online. And over the last 3 years, they've been really pummeling the YouTube channel to boost it, to make sure they make the most clickbaity stuff. And Sky News has become like the top of the funnel for laundering misinformation for all of kind of the News Corp empire. So I don't know if we all remember where we were when Shari Markson told us about the Wuhan lab theory with all the authority of a Facebook post written by a divorced dad. I don't know if you were there. I remember seeing it going, you're absolutely nuts. That's crazy.
Dan, we still don't have all the evidence on that, Dan. We still don't have all the evidence.
But the great thing is, the way why she did that was that so other News Corp networks can pick up that as saying, well, we didn't say it, but look at Sky News in Australia. They've reported this. And so they can point to something wacky and zany that the people in the colonies have done to kind of justify telling the story to their other millions of people. It's awful.
I love the defense of like, oh, we're just putting stuff out there, we've provided. It's like, but it's just not, it's like sort of, it's someone saying like, oh, it's weird my channel telling people to eat cyanide has been taken down. Like, where's the balance? Like, we don't need balance on that. We don't need balance on that. It's pretty clear cut.
Do all of you have uncles in your life who have fallen to Sky News?
Oh, I don't know.
No. I don't. Although I definitely know people who have, and it's definitely super confronting. Like people, like friends' parents who I've known for my whole life who have been.
That's an uncle. Yeah, doesn't have a blood relation.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in the more loose sense of the term, uncle for sure. And you don't know what to do. Like particularly now on Facebook, I only know like 3 people who post on Facebook, and it's usually just like that one guy, a friend of my dad, who's just. My friend's dad.
I was back in Perth recently where my family is, and one of our friends / uncles has completely gone down that rabbit hole.
How have you dealt with it?
Well, I mean, I had to, bite my tongue and be respectful because of # brown family vibes. But it was actually very disappointing to me because I was like, half these people are like white supremacists and you're literally like they don't like you. You're not on their side. But also I was like, shouldn't you be spending your time like policing your daughter's sexuality or something? Like what are you doing?
Go back to the classics.
Yeah, like I don't think migrant uncles should be falling for this, but I think they are.
To become an uncle because it seems like so tied to that specific relation. Like if you fall down like a QAnon hole or something and you don't have any nephews or nieces, do they spawn as soon as do you become an uncle if you fall prey to the ideas, or is it you're the uncle and the ideas? It seems so specific to that.
I think uncle is a vibe now, like daddy. Like anyone can be daddy.
Joke me, uncle is the new name.
Joke yourself,
uncle.
Now, I went through some comments about this story on the Daily Mail, and I found some great ones. I thought I'd share them with you. This one is from Line in the Sand from Vero Beach, United States. Your poor country is turning into Korea.
I'm
pretty sure you meant North Korea, but I think, we kind of get the point. We kind of get the point there.
Yeah, you guys are doing some great boy bands. You've got a really good mobile phone company. Congrats. Looks like you're really turning this thing around.
Industry is booming. Yeah.
Yeah. Won an Oscar recently. Good stuff. Cut the crap from Sydney, Australia says, no surprises there. Social media big tech have been book burning for ages. Well, I know that's not true. Look, you can say what you want about Amazon destroying the book industry, but they didn't really do any burning. That's terrible. And there's this one here from Louis from Sydney. Just anybody who thinks this is good is completely clueless and uninformed. Soon we'll have just one government news source and we'll be told what is happening and it will fit the government narrative. Louis from Sydney has obviously never watched Sky News.
The one news that does fit the government narrative is gone. It's all non-government narrative now. It's great.
Has Kevin Rudd reacted to this? Because I know this wakes him up in the morning. So
yeah, this has got to be this is Kevin Rudd bait. This is Kevin Rudd bait. This is like a tweet. This is a thread for Kevin Rudd. Where did it happen?
For that tweet, yeah.
I have been following Kevin Rudd's tweets though, because I'm just curious because it is so easy to. Let me say this: like at the start of the pandemic, some friends and I were like, "Who do you think would be the best prime minister that we've ever had right now?" Like who? And we were like, Kevin Rudd. Like the guy never sleeps. He's just like obsessed with detail. Like he was a nightmare and everyone hated him internally, but like he's the guy you want right now. But he was also like pretty unlikable and smug by the end. So I was really curious to see what happened when he started to get a little bit of like positive press and everyone's like, oh, he did the Pfizer jabs and old Uncle Kev's back. And but he hasn't. He's been really restrained on Twitter and he has not gotten smug and he must be killing him.
I don't know if you were out and about last weekend. Like me, I was driving around trying to find a place to do some exercise, but it was really hard because there were cops everywhere. It was very difficult in Sydney to kind of do anything last weekend. And I have to say, though, when it comes to lockdown protesters, the Melbourne anti-lockdown protesters they've been doing it a while. They really practice at their whole sovereign citizenship bullshit. Whereas in Sydney, the anti-lockdown sovereign citizens haven't done the reading. They haven't kind of learned enough about the Magna Carta to pull off being a sovereign citizen. I've got a clip here. Let me play it for you. This is from a Sydney pro-lockdown protester who's been pulled over by the police.
Am I under arrest or free to go?
Not free to go. You're in a vehicle, mate, and you've committed an offence. So
what's the offence, sorry? What's the offence?
Unsecure load. Driving.
Where's unsecure load? What, for the Australian flag?
And also there's obviously a potential COVID breach, which we're trying to figure out. If you want to provide us
I think you're making
documents to say that you haven't committed the offence, then we'll accept that. If not, then it's up to you.
This is a sad day for Australia. Okay. The Anzacs died for this flag, and now you are penalising or attempting to. No. And if you do this, this will go down in history. No. This is on. No. 74,000 people are watching live. Well, now we're talking about. You've got one person liked it and one person.
Can you see? If you're going to point your camera at a cop, just don't show them the screen. I love that the cop said you've got one person who liked it and one person watching.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I mean, yeah, the Anzacs did die for my right to inflate my engagement.
I love how you use that phrase. They fought and died. It's like, so we could do this. They didn't fight and die, so you could fight to die. That's like such an inversion of what they're.
And also, I mean, Tim Schumer makes a good point on YouTube. The Anzacs died for England, which is absolutely correct. Like the flag that we fought under was actually the Union Jack.
And also, they wore a lot of masks.
Yeah, because they had a pandemic.
Yeah, and there was gas. You know what I mean? Like they knew the health risks.
This week's second fear: Professor Gilbert, the co-creator of the Oxford AstraZeneca. Professor Gilbert, the co-creator of the Oxford AstraZeneca jab, has a Barbie doll made in her honor. It's very inspirational. That's pretty amazing stuff. Jazz, I've got a question for you. Are there Barbies that we can use to prepare kids for real-world adult life? What other Barbies are there?
Well, I mean, yeah, this it feels like the pendulum has swung too far the other way. I mean, it used to be kind of Happy Playtime and My Little Pony, and now kids are being told they have to, invent a world-saving vaccine when they become an adult. I think it's a bit much like.
Is it
what
just
about,
too much pressure, Jazz? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
just prepare them for what's coming. Like, out of work actress still waiting for the government arts rescue package, Barbie. Like, just something that kind of destroys the illusion and creates the, makes them less innocent by the time they're full adult. Or I thought oceanographer who has to clean up discarded Barbie plastic from the ocean. Barbie. Another one. Also called Don't Throw Another Barbie on the Shrimp. That was what I thought you were doing. But just some just original kids toys that will just prepare kids for the trials and depression of adult life. I think it's either too innocent or that's just aiming too high. Somewhere in the middle would be the sweet spot, I reckon.
Yeah, you're so right, because they've gone from unrealistic body expectations, like you need to have this really thin neck and no genitals, to unrealistic mental
Career.
expectations.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll never achieve that.
I like to think if I was given a best new talent Logie Barbie, I would be in a different place right now as a kid.
Wow. You two could have been on Home and Away.
I'm just wondering what the Bratz dolls are marketing at the moment, because they've always been like the seedier cousin. Yeah, the bad ones. Are they like, stay at
Anti-vax
home
brat?
and soft sit brat? Is that kind of what's happening now?
Well, that's the other thing. Is like this Barbie's very pro kind of one side of the story, like what seems to be excluding all the people who, think that the virus isn't a real thing. Like, where's QAnon?
Yeah.
Fallen down an internet hole Barbie, or, any of those ones as well. Weird Uncle Ken.
Yeah.
Just an Australia flag behind him.
Clutching his phone with his one view.
Going off to die for the flag that is strapped to his back. It's interesting that article about the Barbie story is really interesting, because it said in 2019, Barbie was accused of having a woke-over after Mattel launched a new range of gender-inclusive dolls. I think like conservative language is so strange. Like, a woke-over is just another way of saying developing new markets or brand extension or growth. Like, that's what a true conservative would say. A woke-over is being a bad conservative.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's like, if people drop their, I don't know, sexist values or whatever values, like, oh, you've had a woke over. No, I've progressed as a human being. It doesn't need to be labeled with some like derogatory term. Or
I've exercised my freedom in the market to differentiate my brand. They like that?
This week's third fear: greenhouse gases released by New Zealand's dairy industry have hit an all-time high, according to the latest data. Fearmongers, fighting cows are going to bring us all down. How do we fix this, Vidya?
I do not know. I just always love when the cows come into the global warming debate, because I kind of forget. Like, I focus on the coal, and then it's like, no, the farts are a real problem, which is just like a delightful way for humanity to go. Like, I feel like taken out by cow farts. Apparently there's like some genetic modification they're trying to do to the gut so that the farts aren't as powerful, which I'm sure would be popular in many markets. But I have no idea. I'm just fascinated that these cows will bring us down. And our desire for meat and dairy, I guess. I've switched to nutritional yeast recently, so I feel like I'm, not to be woke, but I'm doing really well. So
You've switched to nutritional yeast.
I don't want to woke up on you, but yeah.
I don't even know what that means. That's so far ahead of the curve.
Cheese substitute?
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for your service.
Do you make your own carbs? Is this what's going on here?
No. I'm just trying to cut down dairy,
Wow.
Was it the president of Federated Farmers who was saying, telling us to cut agricultural emissions is virtue signaling? Is this we're trying to like save the planet so we can brag about it? Like, who are we virtue signaling to?
Yeah.
Like Pluto? Like who? Like it's not virtue signaling if you want to kind of save the planet. The reason you do it is to stop the world ending. It's sort of like calling a neurosurgeon like a virtue signaling for saving people's lives. Like, he must love himself. It's like, no, the intent is good, I think.
Oh, big fan of the brain, are you, loser?
But Jazz, like the best thing about that quote is like if you can imagine that quote in a New Zealand accent, then you don't have to take it as seriously. So that's what's great about it. For New Zealand to go off on some virtue signaling crusade to shut down the agriculture sector, it's to say, hey, we've reduced heap of emissions. It hasn't solved anything.
Yeah.
You don't even take it seriously. It's great. Just write them right off.
But he'd call us a bunch of latte sipping lefties, but by drinking lattes, we're actually helping the industry. So touche, you know.
Oh no! I read an article somewhere saying that feeding like seaweed to cows can reduce the methane emission.
Probably.
So, there's something.
Seaweed's supposed to be good for you. I don't know.
Well, there we go. Fixed it, gang. I don't know why everyone's still looking around for the answers. You got to listen to this podcast.
All right. We're going to play Hang On a Second now. I'm going to play a clip from the week. If any of you have a comment, yell out, hang on a sec. I'll stop the tape. You chime in and we'll keep rolling. This hang on sec comes from the Deputy Prime Minister at Question Time this week. Here he is here.
I can't hear that.
I can't hear that.
Hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? You can't hear it at all?
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Oh, no. Maybe I can't play Hang On a Sec anymore.
It'd actually be the most watchable Barnaby performance of all
Hang on a sec. I'm going to pop it in the StreamYard, see if it works.
I like going to the movies, and I can't but always remember Howard Hughes, the Aviator. But Howard Hughes, the Aviator, but the Labor Party got Albo the Advocator. Yeah, the great Advocator.
Hang on a sec. I mean, there's no joke here beyond like what a weird movie, like what a odd segue and reference just to pull out such a shit pun. Such a long way to go to like bring up the whatinator, did he say? The
advocate. Like, why is that an insult? It's a good thing to advocate.
Yeah. This is what Albanese should be doing, advocating, and we don't see enough of Albanese advocating.
I think he could do more.
Yeah, it is funny that within this allegedly drunken ramble, all he managed to do was say quite nice things about Albo. Like, I actually didn't even bother trying to really pass what he was trying to get to. I was just taking, the fact that he was hammered on, probably
allegedly
hammered.
Yeah. It feels like he's trying to compose a poem. Like, Aviator. Aviator's a half rhyme with advocator, and advocator Albanese is alliteration. Like, I just feel like maybe he helped his kids with poetry homework or something.
Barnaby Joyce, the bush poet, is the kind of thing we need from Deputy Prime Minister. Here we go.
The great ideas man, straight from the pool room.
More compliments, great.
Hang on a sec. I mean, he's getting them all mixed up now, isn't he? He's been to see a few. He's one of those dads who's gone to sleep on a Friday night watching one film, and he's woken up watching The Castle, and he's like, far out. Howard Hughes has really slipped. 1 minute he's a millionaire, next minute the fucking airport stealing his house.
I remember a movie was The Terminator, and the musical numbers at the end were fantastic. No.
I remember a TV show called The West Wing, and the president did great governing, like Albanese does. Great governing.
Deputy Prime Minister will resume his seat. The Leader of the Opposition on a point of order.
Hang on a sec. You know how, watching a parliamentarian, or what Barnaby Joyce in particular, but any politician just be hammered that publicly, it reminds me of those old posters that people used to buy at uni where it had a different spider's web on all of the different drugs. Like, I want to see Barnaby every day of Parliament sitting. I want him to come in and be like, "It's mescaline today, fellas," and then we all just get to see what happens.
This is Barnaby on beer, Barnaby on tequila, Barnaby on vodka. Yeah,
just Barnaby on MDMA, just being like, "Actually, Albo, I fucking love you, mate. I fucking love you. I love you. I know I'm sweating, but that's just usual. I fucking love you."
I've seen The Aviator, and I can tell you, we can all fly right now together.
I'm forced to bring out the weirdness stuff. I have no idea what this is, but it's
Leader
nothing
of the
to do with
opposition
the
will
question.
resume his
Hang on a
seat.
sec. Hang on a sec. What is he saying? Weirdness or weirdness? Like, what is he saying?
Or is
It's
it
his
like,
mantra.
Is this his mantra or
weirdness.
weirdness?
It's kind of like omnipotent. Is that the thing he was getting? Like omnipotent?
Oh, like omnishambles, omnipotent, weird. Oh god.
Omni weirdness.
But
I don't know.
Why are they all convinced they're gonna coin a catchphrase?
Yeah, going back through history of Australian politics, like how many of them have managed to coin a really useful catchphrase that stuck around?
Conga line of suckholes was the only one I can remember.
Yeah.
That one will always stay the test of time.
Was that a Keating thing or?
Yeah, that was Keating. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all Keating wannabes. It's not going to happen.
It's like, why do you try and counter Barnaby's fumble and reach for a weird movie by then also just coming up with something that makes possibly even less sense? Like I don't know what like an extra layer of an own goal is, but it's like own goalception at this point. It's very confused.
Just a game of soccer where at the start they all just turn around and then just never face each other.
Like it would have been just great if he came out and called out the obvious. Like Barnaby is clearly blowing 1.0 here. Like that's what he just really needs to nail it down.
Was it confirmed that he was drunk or?
I don't think it is ever confirmed.
Yeah, it's so weird that there are no cops with breathalyzers in Parliament for some reason.
Yeah, you don't have to walk far. The thing about the bar is that it's a walking distance and a driving distance.
Well, before my last job that I had, one of the last jobs I had before I started working in telly was working as a barman at Victorian Parliament House. I worked.
No way, really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was a Victorian Parliament House barman for about 18 months. And just watched, and I had to sign an NDA, all this sort you're not allowed to talk about what you see in there.
You had to sign an NDA. You're breaking an NDA right now.
Well, I'm allowed to say I worked there. I just can't tell you all the people I saw fucking each other.
That's for the Patreon members.
That is not a point of order. The Deputy Prime Minister has the call.
Much no should continue on. The great
Hang on a sec.
there he is.
So he's hammered. Yeah. Albo's tried to stop him on a point of order, and the point of order is on weirdness. So why would I just stop him? And he's like, oh, it's on. The point of order I'm going for is on weirdness, and they're like, that's not a point of order. Back to Barnaby, and the first thing Barnaby says when he gets is just like a weird mumble that no one can understand.
Well, because now he knows he can get away with it. If on weirdness isn't a legitimate cause, like, well, if I've got free license to say whatever wacky shit I want, I'm just going to let loose. It's great.
You're never going to get anything constructed by him. But he did have one great idea. We saw it the other day. $300 per jab. $300 per jab. I think that was just your idea. No,
the Deputy...
Wow, so strange. It's like, is he trying to have a go at the idea? It's actually probably a legitimately good idea to get to put in there. It's so weird.
Because so many people think it's a good idea, right? Like heaps feel like that's a great idea. Heaps of other countries are doing it. It's working all over the place. And he's like, this guy who I just called the advocator, which is obviously a great thing. This great guy's had a great idea. And let me tell you, it was just his idea. Just him. That's how good he is. He's a genius.
The Deputy Prime Minister needs to resume his seat, and I think we might as well leave it there. Whilst he was asked about alternative policies, they need to be alternatives to the issues laid out in the question.
I don't know what the question was. That is, hang on a sec.
Career ahead of him as a hype man. He's the opposite. To hire Barnaby as your hype man. Like, ask him to insult you and watch him just go completely off the rails. You'll come out the other end looking like an advocating genius guy who comes up with great ideas. It's great.
Yeah. It's the opposite of he's misread what a roast is, and you're like, just get up there and get stuck in. I love this guy. He's the best.
That is it for our show tonight. Big thank you to all of our fearmongers, Viya, Rajan, Jazz, Twemlow, Lewis Hobba, and myself, Dan Ilic. Do you guys have anything to plug? Viya, do you want to plug anything?
I have nothing to plug. Follow me on Twitter for deranged lockdown takes.
Viya is exemplary on Twitter for deranged lockdown takes. I've been living off them for the last little bit. Jazz Twemlow, do you have anything to plug?
I've got the show, The Moth Effect. Episode 2 is coming out tomorrow, Friday, 11 a.m.
Great.
Episode 1's already out. Check that out too. It's very deep and weird.
Lewis, do you have anything to plug?
No, Dan, nothing at all. If anyone has any tips on how to play piano very quickly, very well, hit me up. Please slide into my DMs on Instagram. But otherwise, no, I'm pretty clear.
I'm looking forward to that next week to getting a taste of where you're at. Big thank you to Road Mikes, our Patreon supporters, Lance Whitford, Norel Feehan, Cassandra Bennett, Joel Pittman, Ash Field, Sam McLean, Lane Steed, Robin with a Y, Margot Law, and Ben Cook. We had so many people sign up this week. Thank you so much. It makes a huge difference. Big thanks to Jacob Brown on the Teppanyaki timeline, the folks on the Discord, including Maddie Palmer, Ads, Killian, and P. McNeil. Until next week, there's always something to be scared of. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
That was great.
Yeah, that went by so quick.
Thanks, Dan.
I know we